Hey everybody, it's Chanel here, and I'm joined by Laci Green.
Hello.
Can you believe it? Thank you so much for coming on our channel.
Of course, Feminist Club represent.
When I was a little kid, or up until preteen, teenager, whatever, my greatest fear was like blurring out penis or vagina just at random moments. And you kind of do that for your living, right?
That's true. That basically sums it up in 2 or 3 words.
Can you sum up your talk that you're going to give on rape culture tonight?
I think a big part of understanding the sexual assault problem is to understand what is going on. So a lot of the time when we talk about rape, we're looking at people interpersonally. We're talking about personal experiences, that's a good dialogue to have. It's important. But I think there's a bigger one that's missing a lot of the time, which is zooming out and really looking at all these parts moving together. And so this talk is going to really look at that and paint the big picture. So that's about, most of the talk is just what is it? What are we looking at here? What are we dealing with? Because when you really understand that, I think it's really easy to see, hopefully, what we need to do to fix it. And so I talk about that as well, and kind of some of the main strategies that I think are really important. There's the interpersonal one, so cultivating consent culture, which I juxtapose against rape culture, which is basically seeing the idea that we respect people's space, respect their bodies, respect their identities, just respect. You know, we're just gonna respect people as a foundational element of our society and the way that we socialize. I talk about institutional stuff, so I'm going to be talking a lot about campus action. Your campus is obviously doing some really cool stuff. Can't say that for everyone, so I know you probably have your criticisms, but like, it's ahead of the curve. So I'm going to be talking about what campuses should be doing in terms of policies and how they should be educating students about consent. And I'm going to be talking about gender roles, how we need to be challenging those. That's a really big part of it, actually, is talking about the ways that the really strict gender binary, and particularly one idea of masculinity, really perpetuates rape culture. So we're going to talk about how we can break out of that. And lastly, I talk about the type of activism that I do, which is blogging and art and using sort of our culture and our artistic imagination as people to really reach each other and to talk about this stuff and to raise awareness.
So our next question is, how do you think religion relates to feminism?
I think that everyone has a right to decide how their religion relates to their feminism. I actually found feminism by leaving my religion because I was really upset with the sexism that I was seeing.
And your religion was Mormonism, right?
I was very, very involved in the Mormon church, and my family also had dealings with like some pretty holy rollery types of Christianity and Islam, and my family's a multicultural family, so we have a lot of different belief systems coming in, and I was not having it when I was younger. I was like, this is not okay. There was a lot of sexism, homophobia, racism, so I left. I used to be like, I don't understand how anyone could be down with this, but I feel like I'm more tolerant now. Of people, they have to be where they're at, and I think that religious belief is not necessarily at odds anymore. I used to maybe think that they can never be compatible, but I think that religions are evolving as well.
I mean, you find atheists who are very misogynistic and homophobic and all that stuff.
Oh my God, yes. I used to be really involved in like the secularist movement, and the reason why I left is because it was so misogynistic. I used to be under this belief that like, if I leave behind religion, then the people who have also left behind religion will just be really social justice oriented people, and that is not the case at all. And that was a cruel awakening for me, because you realize that this stuff goes beyond religion. It goes beyond the education system. It goes beyond the government. It is deeply embedded in the social fabric of our world.
So what advice would you give to people who come from like families or friends or communities which practice racist, sexist, or otherwise oppressive beliefs and values? Yeah,
it's really hard. Like I said, I left my family, was very religious. Isn't as much anymore, by the way. That's kind of an interesting thing. But yeah, and it was really hard for me at first because I felt really alienated by a lot of my friends, by a lot of my family. Over the years, to be honest, I've always felt pretty alienated by a lot of people. and I've had to find community. I've had to connect with people who have similar beliefs to myself. That's part of why I moved out to the Bay Area when I went to school, is because I felt like, well, maybe this will be a better place for me, and it was. It was a much better place for me. Berkeley has pretty radical politics that really pushed me, and that was really great for me. You know, it was really great for me to be in an environment where I was being challenged and around people that are like me. So I think seek community and don't give up on them. You know, don't give up on, the temptation is to just condemn and to be frustrated and to be angry and to be hurt. It's totally normal, you know, and it's okay to feel that way, but also I would encourage you to hold on to hope that people can change, people can learn, people can grow. Everyone has a process. You know, we don't all start out as perfect humans of the world. Exactly. And we don't ever get to be, perfect humans of the world. We're all flawed in a lot of ways. And some people more overtly than others, right? And that can be hard to deal with, but I think pushing people slowly in ways that you feel comfortable with is a good way to get them to make some progress on it. You can't see it as like a project. You know, you can't see people as projects that you're gonna just change. This goes for relationships too, by the way. When you're dating out there, it'll be like, oh, they're so perfect, but that's the same for, your friendships and stuff.
The more pressure you put on them, the more resistant to change they're going to be. I tried to do that with my family, and it's like, no.
That's very true. Because they get defensive, right? So you have to talk about it in ways that are listening and understanding without being too intense. There's a strategy there. It sounds like you've kind of figured that strategy out for yourself a little bit, right?
A little bit. You know, it's a trial and error type thing. You find out, okay, maybe like being like, you will turn off all the lights in the house and you will like not, use these words because they're bad, or else you will be punished. That's what I tried to do with my brothers, and they're like, excuse me?
And they're like, let me challenge you on that, actually.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally. I found that sometimes you have to lead people to the answer without actually saying right up front, by asking the right questions. And oh, that ended in a very explosive argument. That was not a good strategy.
Don't do that again.
Not be doing that again. And then I inevitably do it again, like a million times, but it's in the back of my mind, and that's what counts.
Anita, I can't say her last name, but
Sarkeesian.
Sarkeesian, and yourself and like a whole bunch of other ones have received like death threats, rape threats, bomb threats. All of
it's
that
really
stuff.
Scary,
Even here, there's extra security for you.
It's a real problem, and Anita is a friend of mine, and I honestly cannot believe the shit that woman goes through. What we see of it, like what she posts and stuff online, is seriously just a drop in a giant bucket of that kind of stuff. I get it as well, although I think she gets it way worse. She's confronting a culture that is more overtly a boys' club culture, the video game stuff, whereas the realm of sex ed has been traditionally dominated by women, and so I'm a little bit less threatening to people, I think, than she is. When I talk about rape and sexual assault and stuff, out come the threats, and these threats, the way that I contextualize them is it's a way to silence someone, it's a way to scare them, to instill fear, to get them to stop talking. And to me, I think that is just a sign of how important it is to keep talking, to keep pushing those boundaries, and it's scary and it's not for everyone, I feel really uncomfortable when, I feel happy, but I also feel really uncomfortable when, women come up to me and they want to start a blog or a channel, and they're like, I'm going to blog about feminism, and all I can see is just like their comment section in my head, and I'm just like, do it, but like, like have a support system and like set boundaries and maybe, figure out a way that you're going to navigate that stuff before it happens, because it does happen and it will happen, unfortunately right now. I would like to think that in the future it's not an inevitable thing, but it's like, what's so scary? This is just someone that's sharing a different viewpoint from you.
I know,
It's not like I'm threatening to kill you or something. I'm literally just sitting in front of my camera, like talking about sexism or sexual assault or something that's really personal to me in my life. Why is that so scary? And I think that's the question that we have to keep asking. Why?
Exactly.
Because that really gets to the heart of the problem.
What advice would you give to feminist YouTubers who kind of want to start up?
I think that it's so important, and I think that women are underrepresented on YouTube. Women of color are especially underrepresented on YouTube.
Exactly.
And I mean, it's a microcosm of society. So every problem that you see in the real world, you're going to see on YouTube. And that's all the more reason to use it as a platform to start making that change. the internet democracy, you know?
Yeah.
So do it, but also have support, you know?
Yeah.
Call on your feminist club. Don't give up, you know, and be true to yourself. Yeah. Really just be, I know that sounds cliche, but really be true to yourself, because there's going to be a lot of people pushing you in a lot of different directions to be this, to be that, even in the feminist community. You know, just really always challenge yourself, always be questioning yourself, and just really be as genuine as you can, because at the end of the day, it's the only thing that you have, seriously. Yeah. I mean, that's what I found, just being picked apart in every direction. You really have to know who you are. You know, and be like, this is who I am, and the end. Otherwise, you just get lost in it.
I'm so glad that you chose to like continue with your channel.
Thank you.
I learned a lot of stuff from your channel, so
cool. I'm glad it's helpful.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I'm trying to be there for other people who, you know, are going through the same stuff.
You definitely are.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
This is great. Thank you. Thank you for having me. And
bye.